How are we doing, everybody? It is just me tonight. This is AJ Torres at Calling Strikes, courtesy of Sports Fluent. Now, I'm just going to get to everybody. I'm just going to share the link real quick, and we will go from there. So, I'm just going to let anyone know if in case they want to chime in. And we are live now. First time doing this without a guest. It's just myself. Okay, and we're gonna get to some stuff right here. There's been a lot of cause of concern. Everything else going on. We're gonna get into Cy Young Award winners. We're gonna get into who is robbed. We're gonna get into the Gold Gloves, the Silver Sluggers, and the whole and nine. Just pulling up MLB.com, and we're going through some transactions. Okay, so to start everything off, let's just go with the Cy Young Award winners. Robbie Ray wins the AL. I kind of expected it. This, I think, was just bound to happen. But then, I'm sorry. Corbin Burns, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Corbin Burns, but I think it should have been Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler. Really, I mean, if you think about it, correct me if I'm wrong here, but just the way that this goes as far as innings pitched, and it's a huge difference between innings pitched. That to me is what gives it up. They're like, oh, he got the lowest ERA. Yeah, but the significant amount of innings pitched less. I disagree with this one. I'm not going to be petty, but there are some moves that have been made, and there's some decisions that have been made where it is simply just uncalled for, and this is one of them. Yeah, just gonna let the guys know what's up. Yeah, so again, just my 2 cents there. So we will see what happens going forward. But as far as the qualifying offers go, I thought there was going to be a few people accepting the qualifying offer, but instead we only have one that is Brandon Belt. So this one's a very interesting one, and it also means that for at least one more year we got Brandon Belt at first base, which is actually kind of nice. But we actually had in mind that Brandon Belt was going to be going jumping ship, and we actually thought that there was going to be somebody signed for first base and third and potentially the outfield as well. To whom it would be anyone's guess because the free agency market is going to be a circus, an absolute circus. I gotta tell you. So going from there, I also want to thank Kevin Cash and Gabe Kepler, the NL Manager of the Years. Although I kind of thought about it, I kind of thought that Scott Cervelis got robbed personally. Kevin Cash, I get it, but it just wasn't that type of year for him. Though it's just my 2 cents. Again, I apologize. But then we go into some interesting stuff here. For starters, did anyone think that Noah Syndergaard was going to win? I'm sorry, not win. Get signed for that kind of money. So I'm gonna be asking around, and I'm kind of thinking about this. The Angels are always going to have X amount of dollars to spend in the off season, depending on who's on the books, who's not. And, I thought they would spend about this kind of money. I was thinking between 20 and $35 million, somewhere around that range. But there's always this famous 1 year contracts that they do every single year. And just for the record, if anyone wants to know what that reference was from, watch Seinfeld. Okay? But yes, they need to have a anchor starting pitcher in there, but they need some guy with better health. Injuries has been the Achilles heel of that team. They need a guy who is fluid, consistent, and healthy. And you've had Noah Syndergaard pitch only 2 innings in the last 2 years. That's not acceptable. So what's the ceiling? The ceiling is obviously, I think, close to 2016 Noah Syndergaard. But I mean, if you look at him, right? Last time we saw him consistently on the mound, he has a hard time getting through the third time of the order, but that's a lot of starting pitchers. But he has a hard time getting through the fifth inning. He hasn't learned how to pitch inside. The changeup, I have no idea what it is. It's just power fastball, slider on the outside part of the plate, and that's it. So, what would be the ceilings for him? I'd say almost 2016. What's the floor? You know, with 1 year deal, he actually might become one of the most expensive relief pitchers in all of baseball because I think RI has to get re signed, and I got to put Thor as the eighth inning guy just to get something, again, consistent. He's going to have to learn that because if he's going to just, I'm going to be a starting pitcher, here's me with my shirt off, well, you got to produce too, pal. And I like Thor, I really do. But at the end of the day, you got to produce. You have to. It's starting to grow thin. Now, apparently, the Mets didn't have a chance to counteract and match, but that's another decision of another time. But just remember, they have Thor, which, you could say Evan Roberts, one of the big spokespersons in New York about not just Mets baseball, but Brooklyn Nets basketball. He said that he's tired of seeing all these guys go through the highs and lows, a lot of the harsh development, and then just give them away for nothing to another team. Zach Wheeler was top three in Cy Young Award win this year. He was a Met. He's on the Phillies playing against you. How does that feel? It feels like crap. Noah Syndergaard going over to Anaheim. How do they feel right now? They feel like crap. And Steve Cohen, Mr. Hey, I'm going to just open my wallet and just spend and spend. There's no budget. There's no budget. 3 years, I want a World Series. Otherwise, it's a disappointment. Well, what's he going to spend it now? He's got less money to worry about because Noah Syndergaard is, boom, out the friggin' door. So I think you have to re sign Stroman. I think that's inevitable. But do you trust your young core? Or do you go after somebody else? Do you have Javi stay or do you have somebody go? Because other things that you got to think about with the Mets right now is what do you do with Robinson Cano? Oh, did some people forget that he's alive? That he's on a contract for 2 more years? And with the Mariners paying him for the next 2 years, a combined, let's see, it's 375, 3.75 million for the next 2 years. So by the next 2 years, between 40 and $41 million, the Mets have got to pay him. So are you buying him off outright to have him potentially play against you? Especially if there'll ever be a National League DH that might be coming soon? Possibly. Who could use a lefty DH right now? Every team, if they legalize it for the National League, everybody. That's who. It's not rocket science, really. It's just how it is. With that said, personally, I think I would just buy out Cano, and then you got to figure out what's going on. There's a lot of guys that are not going to be in a Met uniform next year, and I'm just going to state a few of them. Dom Smith, if you're going to have a guy thrown out in left field every other day who's not an outfielder, he's got to go. Pete Alonso is going to be your primary first baseman. And Dom Smith, you got to trade him when the value is as high as it could get because it's not going to get much higher at this point in time. They've kind of limited that. Jeff McNeil, again, you said, hey, can you play second? Oh, hey, he could play third. Okay. You throw him in left field every day, he's not an outfielder. I don't know what it is with these National League teams by saying, hey, let's take a shortstop or a second baseman, let's convert him to left field. It is just idiotic. I just can't fathom it. Hey, Bear, Texas, what's happening, brother? Yes, they have a giant history of paying players, and just it hasn't done well. Josh Hamilton not done well. Albert Pujols, they regret most of the contract. The list goes on. C.J. Wilson couldn't stay healthy. The list goes on and on and on about it. It's just how it goes. It's just second nature. I can't describe it else otherwise. It's just absolute second nature. I can't stand it. I really can't. It bothers me. It really freaking bothers me. But if I'm the Mets right now and you need somebody elite there, I'll say this. And this is if there's like a National League DH. If you think Pete Alonso's the guy, he's your guy. But if he's not your guy, you need to move on now. And what would I do? Well, riddle me this. Could you trade for Pete Alonso for Matt Olson straight up? And not only that, but you're going to have to, especially if Chris Bryant is coming to New York, well, then guess what? You might be paying him a lot of money and giving up you won't be giving up a draft pick because of the trade, but you're going to have to package Jeff McNeil, JD Davis, and Dom Smith somewhere. And if you think Pete Alonso is not your guy, figure it out right now because if he's not, the big guy in the market is Matt Olson. And what are you going to do? I think if you send Pete Alonso and Jeff McNeil over, you got your guy. A guy who's going to he's going to hit lefty. He's going to hit for power, and the defense isn't bad by any means. But I just don't think they have other tools to trade for Matt Chapman. Can they make a big splash trade? I don't know. I don't think so. I just don't see the assets anymore. I only say Olson because it's very well known that the Oakland, soon to be Las Vegas, Athletics are having a fire sale. It's very well known. Getting rid of Bob Melvin was absolutely idiotic. It was just a freaking disaster. It was an absolute disgrace that signified your fan base that you were waving the white flag like the Italians and the French in World War II. What an utter freaking disgrace. I just don't get it. I don't. But furthermore, it's just going to be a laughing stock, and I think it's going to be very easy for me, not just as a Yankee fan, but as a baseball fan. When you go to the New York Mets and you say, okay, I got an owner with blank checks who's passionate, but at the same time, this is the same guy that has a guy leave his house drunk. And let me tell you something, especially the bear man of Texas. Alex, let me tell you something. I know where the White Plains Courthouse is. And let me tell you something. If you park in the middle of the parking lot where the police go back and forth to patrol and they just go, hey, what the hell is this car doing here at 4 o'clock in the morning? What do you think is going to happen? This isn't a Walmart. This isn't a anything of the sort. It's not like, hey, this is the TJ Maxx Plaza. I'm just going to leave it here. No, you've picked the hornet's nest to be bad in, and you're paying for it. And regardless of not having a president or a GM or, in fact, confidence, and the fact that the investigation of the sexual misbehavior has never been solved, I'll call it that. The Mets have to become less of a circus. And if they're a circus in a good way, that means that they're tearing the cover off the ball and they're power pitching. But until then, guess what? This is a team and organization, easy to rip. And Steve Cohen, I hate to say it to you, brother, because I do have respect for you. You are trying. But right now, I'm not sure if it's energy, but the new regime hasn't gotten rid of the curse or any of the negative energy that's still there. Do yourself a favor. Get the hell rid of Sandy Alderson, putting guys that know what the hell they're doing, guys that aren't going to leak anything out, guys that aren't going to make an ass out of themselves. And by the way, make sure that your manager and your general manager and president are on the same page as you because it's been a long time since that happened. Probably since Willie Randolph was manager, if I had to take a wild guess. Maybe you could say Terry Collins, but it seems to be a little before that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But moving on, because I could talk about this all freaking day. Here's what I had. I got two more subjects. I got JV going back to the Astros. Listen, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, Florida, East Coast, blah blah blah." My wife. At the end of the day, it comes down to this: have you made yourself comfortable in Houston? Yes. Is there any other team that's willing to pay X amount of dollars? Well, they say the price is right. These people were thinking that they were going to go waltz in and be like, hey, similar to Corey Kluber, hey, JV, you're 40 years old. Let me give you $10 million for 1 year and we will go from there. Yes, Alex, absolutely. But if you go from there, right? Yeah, no one was going to give JV $25 million for 1 year. Nobody else. No one else want to put their marbles in for a 40-year-old pitcher. Now, again, this offseason is going to be crazy. And last offseason it was, oh, because of COVID, I'm cutting back because my revenue was less. It's not like that now. We're back. It's back, and we have the best shortstop class possibly ever. Now, a lot of people are asking me what's going on with the said shortstops. Now, I'm hearing that Carlos Correa is a done deal with the Tigers, and I think they're just. I'm assuming they're awaiting a physical, but I think that's locked in. I think that's going to be very interesting. Uh, I think this is a little bit slow. I do have something for you, Alex. I think Simeon is probably going to be the oddest one, but I don't know. Something tells me that Corey Seager is going to the Mariners. A lot of people are saying that this guy's going to the Yankees. They said JV's going to the Yankees. They said Seager's going to the Yankees. They said Marte linked to the Yankees. Uh, hey Mitch, how we doing? Glad to have you. Just for stopping in, I'm AJ at Calling Strikes, courtesy of Sports Fluent. Uh, the Tigers are a weird team because I just think that with Carlos Correa passing that physical, I think that directly becomes his team, and basically they build around that. I asked Chris Correa, no relation to the player Correa. He's just a Red Sox fan. That's good friends with me. So we talked about Eduardo Rodriguez, and I'm thinking that he was going to get somewhere at most about 3 years, 60. And I think the Tigers snatched him up because of the guaranteed years on the contract. Uh, Outside of that, I mean, the years, I wouldn't go more than three on him. He agrees. I thought he was going to get a 2 or 3 year deal. That's about right. But the Tigers are in a good position because if this is all true about once Carlos Correa passes physical and goes to the Tigers, they are in a rebuild mode, but they're much closer ahead. So you got guys who are developing, you got guys who are stars, or you got a starting pitcher that's proven. And where do you build from there? And we remember when the Tigers were up here and spending money back when they had Scherzer, Verlander, we had Robbie Ray, David Price. We had a lot of guys through the mid 2010s where the salary cap was close to 200 million. Are they going to get up there again? You see, that's my problem with most of these clubs is I need to see a following trend, which leads me to the next conversation of Berrios getting the contract extension of 7 years, 131 million. It seems confirmed the physical is passed, and now here's what we got now. Robbie Ray just won the Cy Young. Is he coming back to Toronto? And is Toronto, listen, correct me if I'm wrong, Canada fans. Toronto is supposed to be Team Canada. Unless the Rays crap out and they go to Montreal, which I think is inevitable in a couple of years because Vegas is being taken by the Athletics, I really think that's just the way it's going to go. But if you're the Blue Jays, if you're Team Canada, you have to be careful with your spending money, but you also have to be aggressive with it. Now, I think Marcus Simeon is gone. I think you're going to have Bo at short, and I think you're going to have Kevin Biggio at second base. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, trying to pay Simeon all that money, which he's going to try and get to. I think he's going to hope with Scott Boras to get 5 years, 150 million, but I think he's going to fall short. That's what I think. And with the other shortstops going on, the very interesting one, and this is why I'm glad that Alex is here. The one thing that makes total sense is Trevor Story going to the Rangers because he grew up a Rangers fan, and you have Falefa going back to third base. Now, this was another shortstop linked to the Yankees, but it seems like every single offseason. Now, listen, I'm a Yankee fan, and I will just say this: people are forgetting that this is no longer the boss era. This is no longer George Steinbrenner III. This is Hal and his sister running the team. And rest in peace, Hank Steinbrenner. So, with Hal being the front man of the ship, if you haven't noticed, he said multiple times during times where he should have been trying to fight for first place in the division, he just sits there in front of a camera and goes, "We shouldn't have to spend $200 million on players to get a championship back here in the Bronx." Well, guess what, buddy? If you're not developing guys, if you're not calling guys up, if you're spending on contracts where those guys have to switch positions in the minors or you're killing their confidence and you sell them off for bags of balls, that's your problem. But my issue is that Trevor Story did have a down year, and I understand it's probably a 2 or 3 year deal from the Yankees for X amount of dollars, but I just don't see Trevor Story because there is some fielding issues that I would really just think to myself, if you go by money, if you're going to go by luxury tax, if you're going to be paranoid of how much money you spend, why the hell are we spending money when your issue was, hey, defensively, we got to get better at shortstop? Give Gleyber Torres some time. And listen, have I seen him be a little lazy in the field? Yes. Do I think that he needs to get a little more athleticism in him? Absolutely. Yes. Do I think that he needs a little bit of work in time? Yes. Is he perfect? No. Is he a gold glover? No. Do I think he needs just a little bit more time to figure out? I think you got to give it one more year. Because all this stuff with Matt Olson and Gleyber Torres being a major piece in there, and who are you going to replace him with? Corey Seager isn't coming to the Yankees because they're done with 8, 9, and 10-year contracts. They are. They are. With Anthony Volpe down the farm system with other guys that could be serviceable in the meantime, it's either Gleyber Torres bridging the gap or you got to trade off those prospects because Corey Seager is going to be there for a long time, which, again, I just don't see happening. And if you think Trevor Story is going to take over shortstop, well, then, okay, you have Gio Urshela at third base, and you're going to have DJ LeMahieu at second. Gleyber Torres is going to be what, a bench player? A guy with that kind of ceiling, a bench player? I understand the juice ball made him hit 40 home runs, but you can't just kill all the value you had out of him. The Yankees know how to kill value out of players, and they did it to Gleyber Torres. They said, okay, for the rest of the year, he's not playing shortstop. He's playing second base. Okay, kill his value. Thank you. Because the ball is normal and not massively juiced anymore, he's not going to hit 40 home runs again. Okay, killed the value. Thank you. Sweep under the rug. Bye bye. But the Yankees are going to be the most interesting one because, again, they're not getting, well, even before the Astros said go ahead, I don't see them getting a big starting pitcher this year. I really don't. You're going to have Cole, you're going to have Monty, you're going to have Severino coming back, you got Garcia. You're going to try and depend on some of your young guns going back because at the end of the day, Hal Steinbrenner is going to point to salary cap and go, "Eee." He's going to, clench his eyes and look away, and it's just not right. He doesn't have to be his father, but at the same time, jeez, it's starting to get a little sickening because there were a couple of times where it's just like, listen, we're 1 or 2 pieces away. What are you going to do to us? Nothing. Chris Capuano is our number 5 pitcher. What are you going to do? Nothing. We're going to pick off guys off the waiver wire? Are you freaking kidding me? Now, listen, as far as the year goes, for the 2021 Yankees that were rough to watch on a regular basis throughout the year, the players blame themselves. The fans blame the manager and the general manager. Anthony Rizzo came in and gave him some light. Joey Gallo, they said, oh, everything's going to be fine. No one cares if Joey Gallo walks if the next batter's going to hit into a double play anyway. And Anthony Rizzo was nice, but he couldn't do everything on his own. This team was Mr. Inconsistent all year. You couldn't get anything going at once. It was a low year for DJ LeMahieu, Luke Voigt, Gleyber Torres, and others. This team did not hit consistently. The injuries did factor once again, and key injuries as well. But there were some upsides. We got faith in Jordan Montgomery, Jonathan Loaisiga, and others. But the Yankees are going to be in a rough transition. And I think their window is looking like 2 years. And just remember, this is one of the only teams in sports that can't rebuild because otherwise you're not even going to sell tickets in the stands. Call it bandwagon or call it New York mentality. But that sucks because the Mets will rebuild and they're just going to look at the prospects because they know they can't spend money. Or at least that was the old regime. They're kind of used to it. The Yankees, all in every single year. And when they're not all in, they talk shit. And if they're all in and they lose, they're going to talk shit. They're so narrow minded. And listen, I have no problem bashing my own fan base. So that's just how it goes. Yeah, so what else do we got here? Okay. I just confirmed that Anthony K of Sportsfluent is going to be on the show next week. And he's going to be doing a little bit of research. In the meantime, one thing is that we've been very concerned about is the free agent activity has actually been a lot quicker. They've been saying that a lot of guys have been wanting to sign sooner or later because of the new CBA, potentially a strike. Who knows? But I'll say this there's a lot that happened, and there's a reason why we only had a 60-game season. That was because you have Commish and Tony Clark. So we have the commissioner, Rob Manfred, and Tony Clark, who is the president of the Players Association. So here's what I said listen, we're men. Let's go into a hotel. Let's go into a conference room. You need to call your people and go for it. I need to call my people. I'm going to do so. Let's write some notes. Let's go over terms. You need a glass of water? Fine, let's go do it. You need to order lunch? Let's do it. 9 to 5. And you can break for lunch break, use the bathroom, whatever. I think 9 to 5, those two men need to sit in a conference room, call whoever they got to call, and get things done as fast as possible. I think we could have had 90 days of baseball if they actually did that. And that's a whole 30 days. That includes spring training. That's everything. Instead of 2 months of baseball, you'd have 3, about half a season. But just remember, the enemy of man is pettiness. That's right. The enemy of all men, pettiness. So what Kamish and Rob Manfred and Tony Clark got to do, there's a few things that need to come up. The biggest one is doing arbitration based on WAR statistics. Now, what that cap is or what that ceiling or floor is. So if wins above replacement is, let's just say, $10 million. My client has a 5 WAR, so arbitration, he should get X. My guy, who's a backup player, is this minus above WAR, so he's getting this amount of money, which I think is fair. But my only thought about that conversation is Okay, you're going to do it by wins above replacement, by this statistic. Okay, that's fine and dandy because we actually need to get some gain in effort and less people in arbitration. That way it's in front of their face and we know that they're not getting robbed. But, but, key thing is, what is the salary for zero point 0.0 wins above replacement? That's the ground they have to figure out. That is what they have to get to. So I think that's it for me, everybody. I've been here for a half hour. I've had a long day at work. I got some more stuff going on. Uh, sub down below. This is MLB Calling Strikes with me, AJ Torres. We'll be talking some more free agency. We'll go over more news, more rumors, and what else is going on in the game of baseball. This is your MLB place to go, and I could research any topic you would like. Comment down below. So everybody, have a good night. You all deserve it. Drink your water and tell everybody you love them. Cheers and have a good night. Latus. Great to hear from you too, Alex. Take it easy.